would tell you that starting shared living without any money can be one of the best blessings that you ever have. And let me share with you what I mean by that. So check this out. I talk to so many people and I ask them, why haven't you started shared living investing? You're in the groups, you've been in it for years, you have all the information. Why haven't you started it? A lot of times it's lack of capital, which I totally understand. Because when I got started, I had no money whatsoever. But let me explain to you how this can become your superpower, okay? So now, here's one of the most beautiful things. By becoming great at being able to acquire houses without any money, it develops a skill set that can pay dividends for a lifetime. Excuse me, you hear that loud noise? I'm charging my car right now, so just excuse the loud noise. I may get out the car. That's a problem for some of you. All right, so how in the world are you going to be able to acquire a house without any money? That's what you may be thinking, okay? So now, one of the essential skill sets that you're going to need to be successful in this business is that you're going to have to be able to market for residents. Marketing for residents is the primary skill set you need to develop for success in this business when you first begin. So I want you to think about that, okay? Why do I say that? Because residents equals revenue. Residents equal revenue. So you're probably thinking, okay, I got that. How am I going to be able to get a house? All right, I want you to think about this, okay? Imagine approaching a landlord, okay? Typically, a landlord is going to require what? A security deposit, first month's rent. Sometimes they want last month's rent. Imagine having this conversation with the landlord. Say, look, Mr. and Mrs. Landlord, I have a waiting list right here of 17 people ready to move into this four-bedroom house. Now, obviously, all 17, they're not going to move in this house. I'm going to vet the top individuals, and they're ready to move in right now. They give me money, I give you money, and we're going to keep this thing going. Is this something that you and I can have a conversation about? What do you think they're going to say? Now, some are going to say no. They want the money up front and everything, which is fine. I guarantee you, if you can go out, if you can find individuals, if you have a waiting list and everything, you can compel somebody to allow you to sign an agreement to lease that house. I guarantee it. But not only that, this is an essential skill set you're going to need anyway to be successful in this business. I keep hearing all these people say, I don't have any money, I can't do it. Yes, you can. Let me tell you something else that you can do, okay? Let's just say you don't quite feel comfortable acquiring a house. Well, the second thing that you can do is probably the first thing that you need to do now that I think about it. You can become a placement agent. Because I'm not, let's just keep it, let's just be real, okay? If you have, good amount of money saved up, good credit, and a clean background, it's easy to get a house. Getting a house is not difficult at all if you can pass the background check, the credit check, and you got enough money. Because all you're doing, you're putting down what security deposit, first month rent, maybe last month rent, now you got your house. What is the problem that most operators have? It's finding residents. You are a value to them. You are an asset to them, and you should be paid. Imagine being able to come to somebody and maybe have some type of an agreement. Maybe it can be a joint venture. Maybe it can be a partnership. Mr. and Mrs. Such and such, you have good credit. You have a great job. You have good money. I can market. I can find people. And here's the most beautiful part about this, y'all. Look, there's no risk to you. You may suck at marketing, but guess what? If you stick with it, you're going to get better. When you start following up with these individuals, you're going to start getting these referrals coming in. So the thing is, if you don't have any money and you really want to do this business, you don't have to wait. I hear so many people, oh, I'm going to get business credit. Let's just be real. Why would somebody give you a credit line of $25, $50, $100,000 when you don't have a track record of success? But let's just hypothetically say that you do get a line of credit for $50,000 or $100,000. How are you gonna pay that money back if you don't know how to market? See, everyone hears the bright side of business credit. It is a great asset to have. It's a great asset to have when you have proof of concept. Credit is an accelerator. It can accelerate you to success. It can also accelerate you to ruin as well if you're not able to make money. The most beautiful thing about what I'm sharing with you is when you become good at this, you're able to print money out of thin air. All right, let's just say you want somebody, you want to compel an investor to give you some money. Well, imagine having 17 people who are ready to give you $800, and you're looking, I don't know, maybe $10,000 from this person. Well, that's the collateral they need to feel safe, allowing you to leverage their money to get into a house. So it starts with you doing some activity. Like I said, it may not be easy, and you may suck at it, and that's okay. Hey, Jen, how you doing? And that's okay, but you're going to get better. And not only that, if you're going to be in this business, it is a necessity to become great at this. Otherwise, you're going to be the individual finding somebody who's going to need to partner with somebody who's great at this business. Does that make sense? All right, so we got Mikhail. He just logged in. Let me ask Mikhail, because he raises money all the time. All right, and he's great at it. Mikhail, let me ask you a question. I don't have no money. You got some money, though. I want to get into shared living. I ain't got no experience either. All right, Mikhail, look, I got a waiting list. I've been going out. I've been on Lynette's webinars and stuff and everything, and I've been out there marketing and stuff or whatever. Mikhail, check this out. I have a waiting list of 17 people with guaranteed income. I just don't have no money to acquire a house. Miguel, would you feel comfortable loaning me $10,000 for the first month's deposit, as well as the first month's rent, knowing I got 17 people with guaranteed income ready to move in? That is a safe bet because the money is already coming in. And that's the skill set that you have to develop if you are lacking resources. And the same thing when you approach these homeowners, Mr. and Mrs. Landlord. I have people right here ready to move into this house. I just need an opportunity. That's all you got to say. Somebody will give you that opportunity. I guarantee it. All right, so let's talk about another way to make some money as well. So I call this furniture arbitrage. Now, this is a fast way to make some money. All right, you always see people giving away furniture for free, like on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. Let me tell you another thing you can do. So you can go to apartment complexes. A lot of times when they evict people, sometimes those people leave stuff in those apartments. Those apartment complexes, all they're going to do is throw the stuff away. So if you're able to come pick it up, you can have it for free. So what you do is you grab the furniture and you throw it on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, and you just undercut the market. The average bed may be $200, sell it for $100. Now you have a little bit of liquidity. You say use a placement agency as a resource? Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So the reason why I get so excited about this is because guess what? If you're going to do this business, you got to learn how to market anyway. Stop sitting behind watching all these YouTube videos and Zooms and everything and go out and apply it. Because for one, it's going to help you make some money. More importantly, though, you are going to develop a skill set. That skill set is not going to go away. People who acquire homes, especially in this business, they are always going to need to be able to have people who can find them residents. Residence equals revenue. So that's pretty much all I had to say. Let me think if there's any other ways you can make some money off of this. Oh, I got a big one. So check this out. All right. So let's just say that. So you can go to the other side. You may be great at being able to negotiate deals with landlords. That's a very valuable skill because I hear a lot of people say, "Well, I can't get a landlord to agree to allow me to rent their place." If you're able to do that, guess what? That's value. You may not have any money, it's just an agreement. And let me tell you something else you can do. Check this out, y'all. You can get paid on both sides of the table. Let me explain how. Because if you can negotiate directly with the landlord, you say, look, I'm going to find somebody who is going to rent your place, okay? The only thing that I charge is the security deposit or equal to 1 month's rent, whatever it is. And then they're going to pay you. Property managers and agents do it all the time. That's how they get paid. Now, the second way you get paid is for people who want to do this business. You're providing a valuable skill. You can charge them the same thing. Charge them $1,000. Whatever it is. You're the one who's out there doing the business, doing the deal and everything. So being able to structure these deals, that is an asset because you're able to create cash flow for yourself. It just takes some hustle. It takes some creativity. Here's the best part. The most beautiful part about everything I'm suggesting, there is zero risk. The worst thing that's going to happen is someone says, no, they're not interested. And then I hear some people say, when people say, oh, I'm not interested, oh, on to the next one. No, it's not on to the next one. Well, why not? Well, what if we can do this? Well, what if we can do that? Always think of an alternative in everything. Because it may be something slight that you can actually negotiate and everything. Well, okay, I see that you have it for rent for $2,000 a month, and because of the nature of what we're doing, you want it at 2,500. Tell me how is that supposed to work? I tell you what, I'm not gonna be able to do 2,500. That's not gonna work for me. Why don't we split it down the middle? Now, there's a good book called Never Split the Difference. So this goes against what he says. It's by Chris Voss. It's a great book. But nonetheless, typically people will split things down the middle, okay? So you're at 2250, all right? Now, if you're at 2250, you have to get something in return for that, right? Because you have 250 additional dollars that are going away from your cash flow, which is equivalent to $3,000 a year, right? All right. So how are you going to make up for that? So look, Mr. and Mrs. Landlord, okay? If we're going to go up on the payment, instead of 1 year, I'm going to need at least 2 or 3 years. Is that something that'll work for you? But why not? You're getting more money. In order for me to ensure that I'm going to be able to lock in this payment to you, me as a business owner, I need to ensure that I have a longer term. All right. So let's just say that they do want some extra money. I'm giving y'all some game. So guess what, y'all? Just because somebody wants first month's rent as well as the security deposit doesn't mean that's not negotiable either. Everything is negotiable. Now, look, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, I understand that, you need some money up front and everything. Okay, let me tell you what I typically do. Do you hear what I did? I don't ask them for permission. Will it be okay? No. Let me tell you what I typically do. I'm the expert. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the security deposit to hold this in place, okay? Today is July, I think it's the 11th. Today's July 11th, all right? We want to take occupancy on this on August or whatever. However, when I give you that first month's rent, I need that to apply for September, okay? Because I'm going to need some time to ensure I get the top vetted qualified residents to move into this house. Otherwise, it's not going to make sense. Is that something you're open to or probably not? They're going to say yes or no. Who cares? All right. So let's talk about some other stuff or whatever. Okay, Mr. or Mrs. Homeowner, you want $2,250 every single month. All right, I'll tell you what. Here's how we can make this happen, okay? Month one, I give you $1,875. Month two, I give you $2,075. And month three, I give you your 22. I think I said 2250, 2250, 2270, whatever. You can negotiate all of this stuff. Nothing is set in stone, although that's what most people may do, especially when you find somebody who's motivated. Is this starting to make sense? Everything's negotiable. And you can just have fun because guess what? You have no risk. You have zero risk whatsoever. I think my car finished charging. But anyway, I'm going to keep. But like I said, you have zero risk. You have nothing to lose whatsoever. I hope this is starting to make sense for y'all because when I got started in real estate, these were some of the things that I used to negotiate. I've forgotten all about that, is that you don't have to accept all of the terms that everyone else accepts. And another thing is, by you being able to offer these creative strategies and structures and everything, it's going to open up a world of opportunity for you. Let me think of some other things that you could do that are creative. I'm trying to think, what are some other creative things that you could do? Oh, so now, another thing that you can do is, once you start performing on this, so basically meaning you're making timely payments, I'll tell you what, that owner of that house, especially if they're acquiring other houses, who do you think they're going to come to be able to rent those houses out? But not only that, here's the thing. Now, I know Mikhail's for this now. You always want to get an opportunity to where you can get first position to be able to buy the house from them. Maybe you can buy the house with some type of seller financing. You've already proven that you're able to perform because a certain percentage of these individuals, they may want to cash out for whatever reason. And you would have to, there may be some loan people. I don't know about this. I've never done this or whatever. But if you can show a track record of having that revenue come in, you keep real good books or whatever. There may be, I'm not saying there is, but there could possibly be an opportunity for a DSCR loan to be able to pay the owner of the house and create new debt so you're able to now own the house. That might be one way. There's so many different creative things that you may be able to do. Or you can bring in maybe a private money person if you don't want to go through the underwriting process. Uh-oh. My car just did. Y'all got any questions? Buy properties for other group homes. Give me 1 second, y'all. Let me do something real fast. But yeah, so the biggest thing is don't let anything stop you, from getting started in this business because there's so many ways of being able to do this business. I can think of it. Oh, God. I didn't even tell y'all how you can get into some of these houses without any money down. Also, there's some other ways that you can do it also. Give me 1 second. Let me put this address in. All right. So now, many of you know that I do a lot of luxury homes. All right. I don't put nothing down on these luxury homes. Don't nobody run no credit check, no nothing. So these homes, the way that I'm making money, so I'm doing a lot of midterm rentals with these homes though. But with the luxury homes, I just tell them straight up, you get your money when I get my money when we have a qualified resident in this house. Either they either they for it or they're not. I don't put a dime down on expensive houses. I'm not about to guarantee a $15,000 a month payment. I'm not about to do that. So let's talk about what happens. How do you have a conversation to be able to have an owner of the house to allow you to be able to leverage their house? Okay. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is you're telling them about your heartfelt mission to help the homeless, to help people who are coming out of a mental health, inpatient or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that because they deserve to have somewhere safe, clean, affordable to live. But someone who has a $300,000 or $400,000 loan on a house, they ain't trying to hear that. It sounds risky to them. All right. So the framework that you want to develop when you're negotiating these leases is that you're an operator. I'm a professional manager who's going to ensure that you are paid on time every single month. That's what I do. Your only responsibility as the owner of this house is to check your bank account on the first or the fifth of the month to make sure that direct deposit hit. That's it. I do everything else. Is this something that you and I can talk about for 10 or 15 minutes? Does that make sense? Because when you start talking about different at-risk populations and everything, people associate that with risk. And yes, they are stereotyping. It is what it is, though. You're not going to be able to force someone to think differently, so you need to kind of just change the paradigm when you're talking to them. Does that make sense? You want to let them know that this is professionally managed, because basically what you're doing is you're giving them the mind frame that you're kind of like a property manager. Does that make sense? Property managers don't pay homeowners to manage their house. They don't. So put them in that mind frame. And when you first begin in doing some of this stuff that I'm suggesting, you're going to mess up. You're going to fumble at the words or whatever. But who cares? The worst thing that's going to happen is someone say, well, nah, I don't think I want to do that. Well, why not? And then guess what you do? You follow up with them after about 2 weeks. Go online and see if that house is still for rent. If it's still for rent, because here's what's going to happen. Every time that you contact that homeowner, you are developing a relationship with them. That's why people always say there's fortune in the follow-up. Because if that was a great property and then the property was priced right, they would have it rented out already. So if it's not rented out already, that means there's something wrong with the property. They're being too particular about who's going in that house, or it's too expensive. Think about it. It'll be rented. So by you knowing that they're not able to rent it, by you having a pipeline of people ready to move in with money to hand you and everything, I mean, that's quite compelling. And if you're in a decent sized city, you're going to be able to find a house. All right, so people are always saying, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. There's 6 million people in Atlanta. I guarantee you there's about 1 million homes around the metro Atlanta area. They tell me they can't find a house or find somebody to agree. I said, you're not talking to enough people. That's what that tells me. You're not talking to enough people. You should be able to find a house. And you should be able to, if you are actually doing some of the things that I'm suggesting, you should be able to find somebody who is open-minded to allow you to be able to leverage their house for this business. I guarantee it. So what you want to do is you want to start tracking what you're doing and really learning what are your numbers. All right. So these are the things that you want to track. So the first thing is you are going to have prospects. Okay. So a prospect is every single house that's available for sale or for rent, whatever you're targeting. All right. That's your prospect list. Zillow. I usually just go straight to Zillow or Hot Pass. All right. So now, once you call those prospects and everything, you are going to start generating leads. And the difference between a prospect and a lead is someone who is open to having a conversation with you about your particular business. Okay. Now I've seen this go two ways. Okay. So I personally like to do a lot of things over the phone up front. I don't want to waste my time. But some people, they may not be comfortable with that. Now, turn this light on. There's nothing wrong if you have the time to going out and walking through the property with the owner of the house. Now, before you start making all these appointments, because I got an electric car, but gas is sky high as far as I'm concerned and everything. Before you start wasting your gas money, you want to ensure that the person that you are meeting is a decision maker. That's well, a lot of people now what they have is they have where they'll give you there's a lockbox or there's like an electronic code and everything. So I'm gonna have to rethink that. But nonetheless, if I'm going out there, I would actually prefer to meet with the owner of the house. Or let's just hypothetically say that there is like a keypad or whatever and you're going in or whatever, I would ask, would it be okay if, I got you on the phone because I may have some questions while I'm walking through the house. Would that be okay? Can we like schedule an appointment where you're going to be available to, or better yet, maybe we can talk on FaceTime? I would probably do something like that, okay? And the reason is because you want to build rapport, especially if you're going to start making some, creative offers and everything. And then there's a whole framework in terms of making a creative offer also. Because in making a creative offer, you don't just want to push out your offer. You have to ask questions in terms of, how long have you been trying to rent this house out? How are your last residents? Because by you getting that type of information, that could be valuable information, which is going to tell you exactly what are their pain points. What are the things that are most important to them and everything? And then you can leverage those to be able to show how you're going to be able to solve a pain point or problem that they have already experienced. So a lot of this stuff is psychological. And when you first begin, you're not going to know a lot of this stuff. That's fine though. Still go out, get those reps in, practice. Let me give you an example. So growing up, I wanted to play basketball. Actually, I was one hell of a player. I was pretty damn good. No, actually, I sucked when I first started. So I ain't gonna say. All right, so let's just say my goal was to play in the National Basketball Association and everything. I gotta practice, and that's what you're doing right now. Because the thing is, if you're gonna be successful in this business, you want to go pro. But in order to go pro, you have to practice, and you're gonna suck at the beginning. It is what it is. Now, there's ways to accelerate your success. Maybe work with somebody who has some success. But in the beginning, you're going to be as bad as you're ever going to be, but then you're going to get better. You're going to be able to overcome objections. You're going to be able to see things that you weren't aware of when you first got started. So I say just go for it, especially if you know this is the business that you really want to do. There's nothing that can stop you. This business is not going anywhere. People will always need safe, clean, affordable housing. I don't care if Trump in office. I don't care if Obama's in office. I don't care if the market is going great or if we're sliding into a depression. People need a safe, clean, affordable place to stay. And that is what you are bringing to the marketplace. And when I say affordable housing, affordable is on all types of levels. Like, I have some mansions and everything where we do luxury co-living. That's still affordable housing relative to them paying $20,000 on a mortgage on a $5 million. Well, the mortgage was actually $3 million. The house now is worth $5 million. But by them being in there paying $6,000 a month, that's affordable. They have all these resort amenities. It's affordable housing. And obviously, you can go down the ladder as well. So it's all relative and everything. I'm just trying to really get y'all to kind of expand your minds and really start thinking creatively. And my thing is, don't put so much pressure on yourself. Make it a game. This ain't nothing but a game. It's like when you play Monopoly, right? You play Monopoly and everything, except you're doing it now in real life. But the way that I'm sharing with you how to do it, I'm showing you how to do it as a newbie with zero risk. You're not borrowing money. You're not leveraging your credit. If you're not putting up no money, how much money can you lose? If you're not putting up no credit, what's the worst thing that can happen if you can't perform? The worst thing that can happen if you can't perform, or, and I'm not gonna lie, for some people, this may not be the business for you. You may have the heart to help and serve. You may suck at the business part. And maybe it's because you have a heart to serve. You can't look somebody in the eye in the wintertime, say you gotta go because you lost your job. That can happen. And it may not be their fault. Companies downsize all the time. Companies don't get contracts renewed all the time. And now somebody's laid off, they can't pay you. You may not have the heart to say, look, you gotta go. But that doesn't mean you can't be involved in this business. Maybe you're great at marketing and everything. So now you do a joint venture with somebody who's going to handle the operations, who doesn't mind telling somebody, look, you got to go. Does that make sense? You get in where you fit in. Like, I'm going to give you an example for me. So I created this 501c3. I know I'm rambling, but it is what it is, my life. So it was called the Job Skills Training and Development Center. I used to own this mental health agency, and so we had an after school program for a lot of kids who had, behavioral health issues and everything. We provide tutorial services for them. Okay. So one of the parents came in, she had all these great ideas. And I was like, why don't you do something with this? She said, nobody will hire me. I'm like, what do you mean nobody will hire me? She said, nobody will hire me and everything. I got pregnant when I was young. I never finished my GED. She had like 4 or 5 kids and everything. And then, anyway, that was the beginning of me creating something called Job Skills Training and Development Center. And the whole goal was to take people off government assistance to where they could become self-sufficient. And we had 3 tracks. We had an academic track, we had a trade track, and we had an entrepreneurship track. And what I learned about myself, my heart is really in it to help people. But I suck at all the organization and doing the day-to-day. That's not my skill set. I can sell. I need to go out and raise money. If there's something that's near and dear to my heart, I need to go out and raise some money for it. I don't need to be involved in the day-to-day because I suck at it, and I don't particularly like it, although it is necessary. So the thing is, try to think about, okay, what am I absolutely great at? Because sometimes what you may love doing, what's in your heart, and this is the truth, you may suck at it. Seriously. Because some people say, follow your heart and the money will come. It sound good, but we got to think about reality. The money will come. You can't tell your mortgage company that. You can't tell Verizon that. You can't tell the person you financing your car that. Well, I started this business. We're helping out a lot of great people. Just bear with me and everything. I'm gonna get your money. I'm gonna get your money. That ain't gonna last that long. Whereas if you can position yourself where you're leveraging one of your great gifts, the money will come a lot faster. Like, so what I like to do is my counter to that is utilize your gift to make as much money as humanly possible so you can spend all the time you want to doing what you love and you don't have to rely on the money that comes from it. And like a easy example is like you see like guys love golf. Ain't none of them going to play on no PGA tour. They suck at it compared to the pros. Does that start to make sense? So you start to think about, okay, where am I going to get in with this business? But y'all, it's 9:04. I got to get ready to go somewhere. So I'm going to end this live. But if you have any questions or comments or anything, just drop them down there below. And, hopefully you're able to take something away. Now, look, don't just be listening to me and doing all these hearts and stuff or whatever. Go out and do something, though. That's the most important thing because I just gave y'all so many different ways of doing this. You don't need a dime in this business. I don't care what nobody say. You got some of these people, and I hope she watching too because she be talking shit. This lady talking about you got to save 6 months to a year before you get started in business and everything. Now, there's a caveat though. If you're borrowing a lot of money, that is good advice. I'm not gonna lie. If you're borrowing a lot of money, like you have to finance equipment, you have to get this big office, you have to hire all the staff. Yes, you do need to have some capital saved up. So I'm not gonna say she's totally wrong. But this business, no, you don't. You gotta be able to hustle. So let me tell you this, another thing. It's gonna be a lot easier for you to be able to gain capital by being able to make money without capital. Why is that? If y'all ever watch Shark Tank, what's the first question they always ask? How much money have you generated before you came to us to borrow money? That's the number one thing they want to know. How have you been able to bootstrap? Because it comes down to sales. Sales is everything. So what is the equivalent of sales in this business? Residence. Residence equals revenue. How's you going to get paid? There's three parts to business. You have someone who can identify opportunities. The second piece, someone who has skills who can do things, get things done. And then the third piece will always follow. The money will always follow. If there's a great opportunity, there's a great team who's able to execute. The money will come in all the time. That's right, Jen. Learn the skills that pay the bills. So look, y'all have a great night. Let's go out and make it happen.